Hi YouTube world, hi YouTube subscribers. I wanted to make a video. I believe it was one of my subscribers, but somebody commented that I should make money videos, like money tips and stuff, which I think is a good idea. I'm in no way a financial guru or financial advisor, but I am somebody who's been poor all their life, so I do know a thing or two about stretching a dollar and living on a budget like most Americans. So first I was just going to give like 12 tips, basically money don'ts. These are things that you should not do with your money. I've either done this myself and learned the hard way, or I know other people who have and have regretted it. And then I'm going to be making other videos about money as well, but here's the first one. So here's my 12 tips. Number 1, don't not get medical treatment, or, oh, that's a double negative, I'm sorry. Don't avoid, there we go, don't avoid medical treatment due to financial circumstances, because I'm not saying this just because I'm getting into the medical field, but from my personal experience and family experience and friends, oftentimes when you avoid getting medical treatment because you're poor, or you think, I just got out of debt, I don't want to have this big medical bill, I don't have insurance or whatever, then you wait too long, and then you go to the hospital or you go to urgent care, and now the problem is 10 times worse, it's 10 times more expensive, and you could potentially be causing huge health problems. That's the most important reason why, is because you can be compromising your risk, and compromising your health, sorry. And no amount of money is worth compromising your health. Don't do it. If you have, if you're having symptoms, they're not going away, whatever it is, go get medical treatment, please. Now, if it's like, if it's something that you think is treatable at home, you've had it all your life or whatever, like me, I suffer from migraines, I just take over the counter things because I'm poor and everything. And that's kind of getting into a gray area, but in general, you do want to get medical treatment, whether it's your finger won't stop bleeding, or you have all of a sudden new onset headaches, or new onset seizures, or symptoms like a numb arm or something. Go get medical treatment, because you are not a doctor and you cannot determine the severity, and oftentimes preventative medicine is the cheapest medicine by far. Number 2, don't delay paying bills. One of the biggest things you can do to help increase your credit score, whether you have debt or whether you don't make a lot, all you have to do is make sure you're responsible with money. And by being responsible, I mean paying your bills on time, not getting late fees. One, you'll get late fees, which sucks in and of itself, but number 2, it's going to hurt your credit. So make sure you know when your bills are due, set up automatic payments, set up reminders, but just make sure that you're paying things on time, that you're returning things. If you're borrowing things that have expiration date on them, make sure you're returning them on time. Just be responsible with money in general. And that means making sure you're on schedule with bills and returning things. Number 3, don't run up credit cards as though it's monopoly money and disrespect money, because even with money there is karma. So what I mean by that is don't when I say like don't disrespect money, I mean in the form of banks, credit card companies, or family and friends, because eventually those people are going to see your track record and they're not going to want to loan money to you again in the future when you really do need it, and you'll be SOL. Um, and that also goes to back to your credit score and stuff. When you disrespect money and basically treat it like it doesn't matter when it does, then it's going to hurt your credit score over time. Like if you're running up credit cards and then just, never paying them off or whatever, it's going to go to a credit company creditor eventually, and they're not going to hear your sob story they're not going to give you any leniency, if you went and spent it on big plasma TVs or a shopping spree. Whereas if it is a legitimate excuse, like you lost a job, you had some type of medical emergency, they might give you some leniency. But don't disrespect money and treat it like it doesn't matter, because it does. Another thing is, I used to do this when I was younger because I was really poor and I thought it was worth it, but it isn't, and that is not eating or drinking. This would be number 4. Don't not eat or drink because you don't have money, because that $2 on your credit card is not going to matter versus you passing out or, having a seizure because your blood sugar got so low because you haven't eaten in 24 hours or whatever. But I used to do that, and it's just, even if you don't have something that severe, it's just not worth it. It can give you a headache. I don't think it's good for your body, because then oftentimes you'll impulse eat, you'll go get fast food when you finally do or whatever. So if you're out and about and you don't have time to pack your meals or bring snacks or bring drinks from home, which is what I recommend doing most of the time, but you're in a rush, you don't have time, whatever, go spend the $2 and get a drink from the vending machine, because you don't want to become dehydrated and then have bigger issues. It's just not worth it. Okay? You think you're saving money, but you're really not when you're doing that. Another thing is, this is something else I used to do when I was younger, which was I wouldn't go out with friends or do any hobby because I thought money was so important that it was the end-all be-all, which it isn't. You want to have like a nice balance between disrespecting money. You don't want to be doing that, but you also don't want to be putting it as your number one priority in life. Because when you look back on your life, the things that you regret is going to be not spending time with people or not doing things that you truly enjoy, just because it was going to save you $50 a month. It's not really going to matter in the long run. Okay? So I wish I didn't care so much about money that I wouldn't attend things or join a cheap gym or whatever just because I didn't have money, when in the long run joining a cheap gym is probably going to save you health costs, and if it's something that you really love, you only get one life. So as long as it's not too expensive or whatever, you're not spending $200 out with your friends every night, then live a little and have some fun, because or else you're going to wind up splurging because you feel like you're punishing yourself, kind of like being on a crazy diet, and then you wind up going crazy then when you do actually spend money. So I recommend maintaining, a social life and maintaining those hobbies that you really enjoy, whether it's going to the gym, going bowling once a month or whatever, to maintain those things even if you're poor. Okay, so that's number 5. Now number 6. 6 is don't live beyond your means. So what I mean by that is don't buy a house that you can't afford the mortgage to and be house poor. Don't buy a car that is, I'm not even talking about a fancy car, but just a not well thought out purchase of a car, like one that's a gas guzzler, like a giant SUV that takes a lot of gas, that isn't fuel efficient, or buying a car that maybe you thought was a good purchase, but then it just becomes winding up to be a money pit, like maybe like a little sporty car that you bought used and thought, wow, this is a great deal, but then everything starts to go, like the transmission, engine. If you're constantly throwing money into a car, it's time for a new car, whether it was bought used or new. And same thing with like the being house poor. I don't necessarily mean just buying a house where you can't really afford the mortgage. It also means buying a house that's a poor investment. Like if you buy a new